My friends, throughout history, the story of human progress has not been written by those who sat quietly waiting for a door to open. It has been written by men and women who decided to build the door when none existed. Opportunity is not a visitor that comes knocking. It is a house we must construct with our own hands, our own vision, and our own determination. I have met ordinary people, mothers who worked 3 jobs, young men who began with nothing but a dream, students who rose from villages with no electricity, who went on to shape businesses, nations, and movements. They did not wait for life to hand them a chance. They created the chance. Opportunity does not favor the rich or the powerful. It favors the persistent. It favors the person who dares to believe that their tomorrow can be different from their today. It favors the heart that refuses to quit when the road is long and the nights are dark. My dear brothers and sisters, change begins when you stop asking, "When will someone help me?" and start declaring, "What can I build with what I already have?" Every great revolution, every new invention, every inspiring success story began not with resources, but with resolve. Perseverance is the seed, and faith is the water. When you plant both in the soil of your life, the harvest is inevitable. Do not despise your small beginnings. The candle you light today may become the fire that warms generations tomorrow. So I say to you with all the strength of my heart, do not wait for someone else to define your future. Do not sit hoping for a perfect moment. Rise up, take responsibility, create, innovate, and refuse to accept that your destiny is limited by your circumstance. Because the truth is this: the greatest opportunity you will ever find is the one you create. And as you walk out of this place, let these words echo in your spirit, words not just for today, but for the rest of your life, my friends. Let me tell you something that will change the way you see your future. Opportunity is not a gift that falls from the sky. It is not luck, it is not chance, and it is not a favor from the powerful. Opportunity is something you create with your own 2 hands, your own mind, and your own determination. Too many people live their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect job, the perfect connection. But those who change the world are not the ones who wait. They are the ones who act. Think about it. Every great invention, every great business, every great movement we admire today began with someone who refused to wait. When the Wright brothers looked up at the sky, they didn't sit around waiting for an airplane to appear. They took wood, metal, and vision, and they created the first flight. When Thomas Edison faced failure after failure in inventing the light bulb, he didn't wait for someone else to discover electricity's potential. He created the opportunity by working through 1,000 experiments until the breakthrough came. And this is not just about famous inventors or leaders. I have met people in villages, in small towns, in places where resources are scarce, who have built lives of influence and impact simply because they decided to create opportunities instead of waiting for them. A young woman who had no money for school, so she started teaching herself through free libraries and community centers, and today she runs her own education program. A man who lost his job, but instead of complaining, he turned his small kitchen into a bakery and now employs dozens of others. These are not stories of privilege. These are stories of courage. You see, waiting for opportunity is like standing at the seashore with an empty net, hoping that fish will jump in. Creating opportunity is when you build a boat, cast your net, and go into the deep waters yourself. One path keeps you powerless, the other gives you authority over your destiny. And authority is what God has placed in each of us. The authority to dream, to build, to persist, and to shape the future. The truth is, opportunity rarely arrives dressed in perfection. It often comes disguised as hard work, as sacrifice, as risk. That's why so many people miss it. They say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the connections. But what you lack in resources, you can make up for with resourcefulness. What you lack in opportunity, you can create through vision, persistence, and faith. Let me remind you, every great leader you admire today once stood at a place of uncertainty. They were not handed their opportunity on a golden plate. They fought for it, they carved it out, they built it from the ground up. And if they could do it, so can you. Because opportunity does not belong to the few, it belongs to the brave. So stop asking yourself, when will my chance come? And start asking, What can I build today with what I already have? The very things you think disqualify you may be the very things that shape your strength. Your lack may push you to become more creative. Your struggle may push you to become more resilient. Your setback may be the soil from which your greatest comeback will grow. My friends, opportunity is not waiting for you somewhere out there. It is waiting for you inside. It is waiting in your ideas, in your persistence, in your refusal to quit. The future belongs not to those who wait for open doors, but to those who build doors where none exist. My friends, let me remind you of something powerful. Greatness has never been reserved only for the wealthy, the talented, or the privileged. Throughout history, the people who have made the most lasting impact were not always born into fame or fortune. They were ordinary men and women who chose to rise above their circumstances. They were everyday people like you, like me, who decided that their present condition would not determine their future contribution. Think about where you are right now. You may feel ordinary, you may feel invisible, you may feel like nothing about your life is remarkable. But history testifies that it is the ordinary who often accomplish the extraordinary. David was just a shepherd boy, forgotten even by his own family, when he stepped into the battlefield and defeated Goliath. Rosa Parks was a seamstress, a quiet woman, when one decision on a bus sparked a movement that changed America. Nelson Mandela was just one man locked away in a prison cell for 27 years, yet his endurance and his vision birthed a new South Africa. The extraordinary is not about titles, positions, or recognition. It is about what you decide to do with the little that you have in your hands. When a fisherman named Peter laid down his nets to follow a new vision, his story became one that is still told thousands of years later. When Malala Yousafzai, just a schoolgirl in Pakistan, refused to be silenced, her voice became a global anthem for education and courage. These stories remind us that extraordinary people are simply ordinary people who refuse to settle. Sometimes we deceive ourselves into thinking, if I had more money, if I had better education, if I lived in a bigger city, then I could do something great. But the truth is, greatness does not wait for conditions to be perfect. Greatness begins right where you are. The small talent you have, the small resources you possess, the small opportunities in front of you, they are enough if you choose to be faithful and persistent. What makes someone extraordinary is not what they start with, but what they refuse to let go of. It is the vision that burns inside them when everyone else tells them it's impossible. It is the courage to take one step forward when the path is uncertain. It is the decision to try again after failure, to stand again after falling, to believe again after disappointment. Ordinary people achieve extraordinary things because they keep moving when others give up. Look closely at your own life. Maybe you feel like nothing you do matters, but every great story begins this way. A single mother raising her children with integrity, teaching them values, giving them hope. She may feel ordinary, but she is shaping future leaders. A young man who works late nights to pay for his education, pushing through fatigue and rejection. He may feel invisible, but he is building a future that will inspire others. A worker who shows up every day, giving their best even when no one notices. They may feel unimportant, but they are laying the foundation for excellence that will be remembered. The truth is, this extraordinary things happen, not because of what you have, but because of what you believe. Belief turns fear into courage. Belief turns weakness into strength. Belief turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. And every one of us has that seed of belief within us. Do not underestimate the power of your life. Do not diminish your own value by comparing yourself to others. The people you admire, the heroes you celebrate, the leaders you honor, they were once just like you. They struggled, they doubted, they faced rejection. They were told no. But what separates them from the crowd is that they chose to rise anyway. They chose to act, to persist, to believe. You are no different. The greatness you seek is not waiting outside of you. It is already planted inside. And when ordinary people dare to step out with faith, When they dare to push beyond fear, when they dare to live with purpose, they do not remain ordinary for long. They become extraordinary. My friends, life is very much like a field. Every dream, every vision, every goal is a seed. And just like a seed, it does not bear fruit the day it is planted. It requires time, it requires care, it requires patience. Too many of us want to plant today and harvest tomorrow, but that is not how the laws of life work. Every harvest you desire is waiting for you, but it will only come through perseverance and faith. Perseverance means pressing on when everything in you wants to quit. It means continuing the journey even when the road is long and filled with obstacles. Faith means believing in what you cannot yet see, holding on to a picture of your future even when your present looks nothing like it. When perseverance and faith come together, they create an unstoppable force. And that force guarantees a harvest. Look at the farmer. He goes into the soil, he plants his seed, and he covers it. For weeks, sometimes months, nothing appears on the surface. The field looks empty, barren, lifeless. But beneath the soil, something powerful is happening. The seed is breaking, roots are spreading, life is forming. If the farmer loses faith and abandons his field too soon, he forfeits his harvest. But if he perseveres, if he keeps watering, if he keeps waiting, the harvest is inevitable. This is how dreams work. The moment you plant the seed of vision in your heart, the process has begun. But there will be seasons where it looks like nothing is happening, seasons where all you see is emptiness, seasons where you are tempted to quit. Yet it is in those invisible seasons that the real work is being done. Your character is being built. Your strength is being tested. Your resilience is being forged. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who failed in business, lost elections, and faced setback after setback. But he persevered, holding on to faith that his life had purpose. And eventually, he became one of the most influential leaders in history. Think of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison. Every day was a test of perseverance, every day a test of faith. But when the harvest came, it transformed a nation. The truth is, every great achievement is born in the soil of difficulty. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire. Strong trees grow against the wind. You cannot have a harvest without struggle, and you cannot reap without sowing in faith. The challenges you face today are not meant to destroy you. They are preparing you. They are shaping the person who will be able to handle the harvest when it comes. Sometimes we pray for success, but success requires weight. And without perseverance, we are not strong enough to carry that weight. That is why God allows seasons of testing, not to punish you, but to prepare you, to deepen your roots, to strengthen your faith, to enlarge your capacity, because a shallow root cannot sustain a heavy harvest. Faith is what gives you vision when the field looks empty. It tells you the harvest is coming. Perseverance is what keeps you showing up every day, even when you see no result. Together, they make you unstoppable. Faith without perseverance is wishful thinking. Perseverance without faith is empty striving. But when you combine them, nothing in life can keep your seed from bearing fruit. So do not despise the waiting season. Do not curse the silent years. Do not quit just because you see no immediate result. Just as the farmer knows that seasons change, you must know that your harvest is guaranteed. Every tear you shed, every night you endure, every struggle you survive, it is not wasted. It is watering your seed. Your dream is not dead. Your vision is not gone. Your future is not lost. It is growing beneath the surface in ways you cannot yet see. And if you will hold on, if you will persevere, if you will keep your faith alive, the day will come when the harvest breaks through the soil and fills your life with abundance. My friends, every journey toward greatness begins with a single decision, the decision to take responsibility for your own life. Responsibility is the foundation of leadership, the foundation of success, the foundation of destiny. Until you accept that your life is in your hands, you will always be waiting for someone else to change it. Too often we look at our circumstances and say, I am this way because of my family, because of my environment, because of what others did to me. And yes, life may have been unfair. You may have been born into hardship. You may have faced injustice. You may have been wounded by people you trusted. But personal responsibility says, I cannot control what happened to me, but I can control what I do next. That is the point where power begins. Every great man and woman in history came to a moment where they chose responsibility over excuses. When Mahatma Gandhi saw injustice, he could have blamed the system and done nothing. Instead, he said, "I must take responsibility to lead change." When Martin Luther King Jr. saw racial inequality, he could have remained silent. Instead, he said, "If not me, then who? If not now, then when?" That is the voice of responsibility. Responsibility does not wait for someone else to fix the problem. It looks in the mirror and says, "The change begins with me." It is the courage to stop pointing fingers and start making choices. It is the wisdom to understand that the direction of your life will never shift until you decide to steer the wheel yourself. There are people who live their whole lives waiting for someone to discover them, waiting for someone to rescue them, waiting for the perfect conditions to arrive. But the truth is, waiting is the language of weakness. Responsibility is the language of strength. The moment you accept responsibility, you stop waiting for life to happen and start creating the life you desire. Taking responsibility is not easy. It means admitting mistakes instead of blaming others. It means confronting your fears instead of running from them. It means being honest about where you are and then deciding where you want to go. It means saying, "I may not have chosen my past, but I am choosing my future." That is the turning point of every destiny. I remember once speaking with a young man who told me, "Dr. Munroe, no one in my family has ever gone to university. No one has ever owned a business. No one has ever broken out of poverty. It's just the way life is for us." And I said to him, "Then maybe you are the one chosen to break that pattern. Maybe responsibility has knocked on your door so that generations after you can live differently." That young man went on to study, to build a business, and today his children are walking in opportunities his parents never imagined. It all began when he stopped saying, "This is how life is," and started saying, "I take responsibility to change it." Responsibility is also about discipline. You cannot create a future without discipline in the present. Discipline to manage your time. Discipline to guard your mind. Discipline to focus on what matters. Responsibility means saying no to distractions, no to excuses, no to shortcuts. Because destiny is not built in a day, it is built daily. And hear me on this. Responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. It means God has entrusted you with the power to shape your own future. He did not create you to be a victim of circumstance, but a steward of your destiny. When you embrace that truth, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow, every setback as a chance to learn, every obstacle as a test of your commitment. The power of responsibility transforms lives. It takes the weak and makes them strong. It takes the overlooked and makes them leaders. It takes the hopeless and gives them vision. Because the moment you stop saying, "It's not my fault," and start saying, "It is my responsibility," the keys of freedom are placed in your hands. My friends, never underestimate the power of a small beginning. Too many people despise the day of small things. They look at where they are and say, "This is too little. This is too insignificant. Nothing great can come from this." But history shows us that some of the most extraordinary legacies began in the most ordinary places. What you see as a seed today may become the tree that provides shade for generations tomorrow. Every great story begins with something small. Apple began in a garage. A global company reshaping technology began with two young men tinkering with wires on a wooden table. The civil rights movement in America began not with thousands of people on the streets, but with one woman named Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat. Christianity itself began with 12 disciples, untrained fishermen and tax collectors who carried a message that transformed the world. Small beginnings are not a limitation, they are a preparation. They teach you humility, they train your character, they test your persistence. If you are faithful in the small, you will be entrusted with much. If you despise the small, you forfeit the much. The seed you plant today may look insignificant, but within it lies a forest. A seed does not look like much. It is tiny, fragile, hidden beneath the soil. But inside that seed is potential so powerful it can cover mountains with trees, feed nations, and sustain life for centuries. Sometimes you look at your life and you feel invisible. You feel like nothing you are doing matters. Maybe your business is small. Maybe your voice is quiet. Maybe your resources are limited. But hear me, what you are building today can outlive you. What you are nurturing today can become a blessing not just to you, but to your children and your children's children. Consider Abraham. He had no nation, no land, no followers. All he had was a promise and faith in that promise. Yet from that small beginning, he became the father of many nations. Consider Nelson Mandela. At one time, he was just a man in a prison cell, cut off from the world, but his perseverance in that small, hidden place ignited a freedom movement that liberated millions. The truth is, greatness rarely announces itself at the beginning. It does not come with trumpets and applause. It comes quietly, in small acts of faithfulness, in consistent steps of obedience, in decisions to keep going when no one is watching. Your beginning may be small, but your future can be vast. Your influence may look limited, but your impact can echo for generations. Think about the parent who works tirelessly, unseen, to give their children a better life. That parent may feel unrecognized, but they are laying the foundation for future leaders. Think about the teacher in a small village with a classroom of 10 children. That teacher may feel insignificant, but one of those children may grow up to change a nation. Think about the person who gives a small act of kindness to someone in despair. That act may ripple through time and save not just one life, but many. The greatest mistake you can make is to dismiss your own beginning. Some of you are waiting for a big stage, a big opportunity, a big platform before you move. But greatness is not built on stages. It is built in secret. It is built when you are faithful with little, when you are diligent in obscurity, when you are willing to sow seeds even if no one claps for you. What you do today is not just for you. It is for those who will come after you. Your children, your grandchildren, your community, they will reap the fruit of your faithfulness. The roads you build today will become the paths they walk tomorrow. The battles you fight today will become the freedoms they enjoy tomorrow. The wisdom you learn today will become the inheritance they carry tomorrow. So do not despise your small beginnings. Do not compare your seed to someone else's tree. Every tree began as a seed, and every seed carries its own appointed time. If you stay faithful, if you keep nurturing what God has placed in your hands, your small beginning will ignite a legacy that will outlive your name, a legacy that will inspire generations, a legacy that will prove that what starts small does not have to stay small. My friends, we have journeyed together through truths that cannot be ignored. We have seen that opportunity is never found by waiting, but by creating. We have discovered that ordinary people, with vision and courage, can rise to accomplish extraordinary things. We have been reminded that perseverance and faith, when held together, guarantee a harvest. We have faced the reality that personal responsibility is the foundation of every destiny. And we have embraced the truth that even the smallest beginning can ignite a legacy that touches generations. Now the question stands before you, not as a question of chance, but as a call to action. What will you do with what you have heard? You cannot walk away the same. You cannot hear these words and continue to wait for life to hand you meaning. You were not born to simply exist. You were born to create, to build, to lead, to inspire, to leave behind a footprint that says, I was here and I made a difference. Do not wait for doors to open, build them. Do not wait for permission, step forward in faith. Do not despise your small beginning, nurture it. Do not shift blame, take responsibility. Do not give up in the dark, persevere until the light comes. Because the truth remains eternal. Greatness is not given, it is grown. Destiny is not found, it is forged. And your future is not a matter of luck, it is a matter of choice, discipline, and vision. So rise and let the world see the power of a life that refuses to wait. Rise and let your ordinary days become extraordinary stories. Rise and let your seed of faith bear fruit that generations will eat from. And as you rise, let these words be carved into your heart.